Welcome to the Green Building Show, where we investigate green design and building trends throughout Australia.
This week on the Green Building Show, we take a look at the cost of an extension. I'll be speaking with Garry Thornley, National Manager at Cordell Costing Solutions, who's going to explain the breakdown of an extension renovation. And later I'll be speaking with Bali Reyes. He's a General Manager of addition specialist Wal Robbins, and he's going to explain what are the biggest financial pitfalls when it comes to an extension renovation. Joining us once again, Garry Thornley, National Manager of Costing at Cordell Costing Solutions. Thanks again for being with us, Garry.
Thank you for having me.
So today we're talking about major renovations. So what a homeowner can do and what they can really get for their dollar. So ultimately there's two types of renovations, either gutting your existing structure and renovating inside, or adding on an addition. Can you give us a bit of a cost breakdown for each of those two options?
Yeah, sure. If we're going to extend, for example, we've got to look at the carcass of that extension, and so what are you going to put in that? So if we looked at, say, something like an extra bedroom with an extra bathroom or ensuite in that, we're probably looking at somewhere in the vicinity of about $65,000 if you were going to do that. If, of course, you were going to renovate inside and you're looking at just gutting a particular area, and of course it just depends again whether it's a bathroom or whether it's a kitchen. But if you were looking at something like a kitchen, gutting that out, you're probably looking at around about the $15,000 mark. Or if you're looking for a bathroom, around about the $12,000 mark.
Great, thanks, Garry. And when we're talking geographical area, does the cost of renovation change from state to state and city to city? Yeah, sure, it certainly does. Yeah, probably Sydney would probably be the most expensive part of Australia when you're looking at building. Probably the one down from that is Melbourne. A little bit less, probably you're looking at 2 or 3% less in costs, but it's mainly Sydney. And then of course what you've got to look at is from Sydney, the urban area in relationship to the country area. So if we looked at something in the city and then we looked at the same thing in Dubbo, you'd probably be looking at probably somewhere in the vicinity of about 5%. But then if you looked at somewhere like Gunnedah, further out, you're probably looking at around about the 12% mark. Right. Okay. So what in your opinion is one of the most common renovations that you generally see in Australia, and what would be the estimated cost for that? Yeah, I think probably probably the most common would be the extra bedroom and bathroom for mum and dad. I think that's probably what it'd be. And then of course somewhere to house your clothes, the built-in wardrobe or the walk-in wardrobe, and you'd probably be looking at around about the $65,000 mark for something fairly basic. Okay, and now onto materials now a little bit, Garry. I guess what's the difference between building with heavyweight and say brick veneer versus lightweight construction? I guess which is going to be the more cost-effective route? Yeah, you know what, that's been a bit of a bone of contention for a long time. Do you build in brick veneer or do you build in lightweight, say, weatherboards? And probably, it depends on your purchasing power, but at the end of the day, I suppose, the weatherboards probably come in just a little bit cheaper, probably about 0.5%, but they're fairly line ball. So Garry, what's in your opinion, the most cost-intensive part of a renovation? Probably the preparation work. First of all, and I suppose the groundwork, what you're going to do. Once, like most structures, once you get it out of the ground, then it goes fairly quickly and it's less of a hassle. But it's mainly getting that thing out of the ground first. Okay, and what's the biggest potential cost blowout aspect? Yeah, probably the biggest one. You can budget all you like. Anything above the ground, that's not a problem. You budget and you keep within your budget, that's not a problem, and that's a sustainable sort of thing. But anything under the ground, for example, very difficult. So if you're building on a fill site, for example, or a sloping site where you may require piers, then no one really knows what's under that ground. So to get even bearing strata, then that's where the costs can come in for additional piering. So Garry, is there a difference in renovation on ground level to, say, going up a storey? Yeah, there is. It's probably ground floor. Obviously, it's easier type of work.
Second floor additions, of course, you'll probably be looking at something around about 20% more for equivalent square metre costs. But as soon as you go higher, obviously you've got all occupational health and safety aspects of that. So a lot more scaffolding, a lot roof protection, those sorts of things. So protection probably for the people that are up there working, which is the main thing, and therefore as a result of that, the extra costs come in.
Okay, so it's the wet trades that's going to cost you a lot more.
That's right.
Not so much in materials.
Yeah, no, not really the materials. It's you've got equivalent type flooring, you've got equivalent type roofing, of course, but it's mainly getting that material up there, and then of course working in a safe environment up there.
Okay, great. And same question again, Gary, that I've asked you previously. I guess if someone's really creating a budget for a renovation or an addition, what's the one piece of advice you can give them to ensure they create an effective budget and stay on budget?
Yeah, I think with everything, sit down, pen and paper, work out your costs, work out what you can afford, what you can repay back comfortably, and stick to that. And don't get carried away when you go into showrooms and see fancy appliances and fancy materials. Stick to your budget.
Garry Thornley, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
To Bali Reyes. He's a General Manager of Addition Specialists, Wal Robbins. Thanks for being with us, Bali.
No, thank you, Carlos.
So we're talking today about the cost of an extension renovation.
Yep.
Give people an idea of what they can get for their dollar.
Yes.
So I guess what's the first consideration when it comes to an extension, or what is your definition of an extension?
Well, I guess the definition of an extension is when you're adding to an existing floor plan, whether that be a family room or a bedroom or just a rumpus room. Many customers come to us looking for ideas on what they can do in terms of trying to provide some extra living space for themselves and their family and their growing family. So it's important to get those things right. And I think one of the key things that clients should consider when doing that is really doing some research in terms of cost, because this is where a lot of people come into, I guess, some problems because they go and seek architects and provide them plans that don't fit their budget. And it's very, very important that they actually do some research, work out to see what they want and what they can afford and what the banks will allow them. Okay, so using a common example, one of the most common extensions is the new upper story. Yeah, first floor additions certainly are quite popular, and I guess the size varies depending on your site, depending on council, because there's a lot of regulations that we've got to comply with as well. So again, it's important to do your research, seek builders that can actually do the design for you. One of the strengths we have is we like to take it from the concept stage. So we'd actually design the floor plan for you, rather than you going to, or the client going to an architect, designing something that may be outside their financial capabilities. Right. So how do they work out what their financial capabilities are? I mean, is there an average square metre cost for an upper extension? People throw square metre rates around. We tend to find more by doing a quality or quantity takeoff in terms of what they want. Now, because I think there's a variety of different products and materials out in the marketplace. So it's dependent on what items you want to pick, whether that's cement tiles on your roof, terracotta on your roof, do you want vinyl cladding, do you want brick veneer, do you want light cladding? So there's many different types of construction methods and finishes that you can have that can determine the final cost. Okay, so can you give us an idea of cost? Well, look, square metre rate, you can go anywhere from, say, 2,000 up. Sometimes you can go less. Do you want a bathroom upstairs? If you don't have a bathroom, then it drops your price because you don't have plumbing costs, you don't have PC item costs. So it does vary. You know, again, there'll be companies out there that will give you square metre rates, but you've got to realise that that's only a ballpark or a cost estimate.
Yeah.
I mean, the proper costing is you actually do a proper costing on what labour, what materials need to be utilised, and then provide that client with an actual cost. Now, those things can change because of compliance with local laws. So, you know, you can get anything from, say, 150 up to 200 to 250 for a first floor, depending on what it is. And I think it's important that people are aware of that, that they check those out and really be mindful of how much they can spend on a particular project.
So what's the cheapest top level extension that you could possibly get?
Yeah, I guess in terms of products, you know, cladding that you can use, which certainly is very cost effective. And you know, still looks great, maintenance free. So that's one area. You know, versus brick veneer, it can be costly, particularly when you're looking at older homes, because older homes, a lot of the brick companies don't exist anymore.
Right.
So trying to match those bricks can be quite difficult.
Okay. So you're saying lightweight cladding is the cheaper option?
It certainly is. Yeah, it certainly is.
Okay. So and what kind of price can you give us a rough price for, you know, a budget top level renovation?
I think I could give an example of one we've done recently, probably about a year or so ago. They didn't have any wet areas, and that came in, I think, at around about 130. Okay. So that was an average size. 130,000 is kind of the lowest you can, almost the lowest you can go? Pretty much. I mean, that was exceptional. Most people want a bathroom, you know, because it makes sense that you have a bathroom up there. You know, you add probably 15 to 20,000 by having that, if not more, depending on, again, your selection of, you know, your vanities and your tiles and whatever it is. So it does vary. Okay, right. So 130 is kind of the bottom line. What about more middle of the road extension? Middle of the road, you'd be probably spending up to, you know, your 180 to 200. Again, based on what selections you make. You know, whether it's a lightweight clad or brick veneer. Certainly, the trend nowadays is there's a lot of the rendered or the acrylic render look nowadays that are happening, particularly in the inner city. Okay, so that was about 200,000, you said? Yeah, something 200,000 you can get. It's still lightweight cladding, but with some wet areas. Is that right? Yeah. Certainly you can do that. Right, and so can you give us a rough breakdown of the cost? I mean, you mentioned 20,000 or 20,000 is generally the bathroom. So where's the rest of the money go? Oh, look, you know, it's a breakup of carpentry. You know, certainly there's concreting. That certainly, you know, be looking around about the, you know, anyway up to 5 to 10% of the cost. You know, carpentry is certainly up there in terms of labour cost. You've also got, I guess, preparation. So that's the demolition and the disposal, and that's becoming a real sort of, you know, the cost keeps going up. I guess if there was one piece of advice that you could give to a homeowner who's doing an extension, what would that be? Due diligence. Important to really select a builder that can design for you, price for you, and ultimately provide the all-inclusive fixed price rather than all these variations down the track. It's important that they do that, that they check the builder, get referrals, get recommendations from friends, families that have built before, and make sure they check them out. Check out their insured, check out their licence, because that's very, very important. Bali Reyes, thank you so much for your time. No, thanks for your time.